Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Read and Reread. I am Angelia, and today I am super excited to talk about 30 Stories in 30 Days, a September project that is in its fourth year. I am shocked because I thought it was in its third year, but we'll get to that in a minute. So, as you probably already know, September on Booktube is Shorty September, and there is an official and wonderful event hosted by Heather from Too Many Heathers, and she has two co-hosts this year who are Crystal from Fiber Artsy and Karen from Roving Reader. And I'm going to link Heather's announcement video in the notes, and you should watch it because it will totally get you in the mood for Shorty September. And I am totally in the mood for Shorty September. I have some books in mind that I am going to read for that event. But I also have my own little side project, my little spin-off, and that is 30 Stories in 30 Days, in which I present to you and invite you to share in reading a short story every day in the month of September. And why? Because I'm a huge fan of short fiction, and I want to celebrate short stories as well as short novels and plays and nonfiction in the month of September. So I have some story collections that I'm planning to peruse in the month, as well as the short novels I've picked out. And then I have my daily short story. So a little history, a little background information. I really did think that this was year 3 because I've been on BookTube for 3 years. So I went and looked at last year's announcement video. And in that video, I have the 30 stories, and then I have a link to the previous year's stories. So there's 2 years. And then there was a reference to a first year in which I was entirely disorganized, willy-nilly, haphazard, wappy-jawed, and just slapped something up every day and kept no records. So apparently there is a secret and poorly planned original year, and then there's been 3 decent years after that. So that's the progression. So I also now this year will link, I'll put the stories I'm getting ready to preview, and then I'll put those 2 older lists also in the notes in case you want to retrospectively see 60 more recommended stories. Now, last year I added on links. Every story that I chose, I made sure that it was accessible online and provided the link. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. Here's how the stories appear or roll out in case you're new to this event. Each day in September, in the community post, I will post the story of the day. I'll have a picture of the author, I'll have a little information, an anecdote, little author bio, something, some little piece of something, and then a link to that story. And I avoided links that look like they might get paywalled. So there's a ton of incredible stories in the New Yorker. I didn't use any of them because sometimes you can open them and sometimes you can't. The Atlantic is the same way. So I avoided things that seemed definitely to have high paywall danger. But in the event that something that seems to be working at the time of this preview, when we actually get to that day, if the link let me try that one again. If the link no longer works, I will put in a substitute story, but I'll explain that when and if it happens. It usually happens to 1 or 2. We'll just see what happens. So there will be a story every day. And I'm not sure what format I'm going to use. We can talk about them in the comment section of that posting. I'm not sure video-wise what I'm going to do with it. Last year I made some little videos along the way where I talked about them in batches. I don't know if I'm going to do that or something else. I haven't decided that part. It was enough work just over the past few weeks to collect the 30 stories that had links and then put them in order so I could talk to you about them today. And I just want to preview them a little bit ahead of time, just in case you want to know what's coming down the pike and you can decide if you would like to participate. The best way to participate is to be a subscriber, because then you will get the notification every day that something's been posted and you can check it out. So today I'm just going to go through really quickly. I'm not providing the links today, but I will provide a list of the stories and the authors, and just in case you want to get a flavor of what is coming. Now, some of these are stories I have read before, but most of them are stories where I'm familiar with the author, but I haven't read that particular story. which is also my disclaimer for any clunkers that happen to appear along the way. It's a danger, but it's the spirit of adventure. We're going to have a reading adventure. As is my custom, the day one story is always the same story, and it is Good Country People by Flannery O'Connor, because it is my favorite all-time short story that has never been dethroned from that position, and I never get tired of reading it every single year, and sometimes in the interim. There's some repeat authors, but a different story, and I think that's all you need to know before we do the preview. I did grab some visual aids about some of these authors just to show along the way. I did have to type this because I had this written on paper and crossed out and rearranged and highlighted and renumbered. So finally I just printed them out. No, I didn't print it out. I typed them out so that I could see it more easily. Okay, here we go. So number one, Flannery O'Connor, Good Country People. Incidentally, my runner-up favorite stories of Flannery O'Connor's are A Good Man is Hard to Find and Revelation. Number two is Ghassan Zeinnedine with Speedoman, which is from this collection, Dearborn, which I highly recommend. Is a collection of stories about an Arab American community in Dearborn, Michigan. It's funny, it's touching, it's very relevant, very current. I enjoyed this book very much. Number three is Julia Armfield with The Great Awake. What I have read by Julia Armfield is Our Wives Under the Sea, which I absolutely loved. I still want to get a hold of her story collection, and I'm not sure if this short story is from her story collection, Salt Slow, but it's a short story. It's probably strange. I'm looking forward to it. Number four, Lydia Millet. The story is called Woodland. I read a collection of Lydia Millet's a few years ago that I really enjoyed, and now I can't tell you what it was called either, but I'll have it when we get to those notes. And I think she has a new collection of short stories as well. Number five, Nathan Harris with a story called The Mine. I read this book by Nathan Harris, The Sweetness of Water. I thought it was really good. He has a new novel coming out this fall, and I have not ever read any of his short stories. Number six, Louise Erdrich with The Stone. This is an audio story. There's a couple of audio stories in here. That was something I added in last year too, is experimenting with some audio formats. I don't know anything about this story. I've read lots of books by Louise Erdrich. Here's one just for visuals. Number seven, Kay Boyle, Your Body is a Jewel Box. That story is not in this collection that I have of Kay Boyle's, but some of the stories in here also have great titles. I think my favorite one in here is I Can't Get Drunk. She was a writer in the 1920s and 30s, writing in that time frame, not as well remembered as some other authors from that time period. We're going to revive her this year. Number eight, Octavia Butler with Speech Sounds. That is from this collection, Bloodchild, which is fantastic. Kaboom. Number nine, one of my favorite stories by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. It is called The Handsomest Drowned Man in the World. It is strange. It is magical realism. It's beautifully written. This cover is very disturbing. Number 10 is Karen Russell with The Ghost Birds. I have never read anything by Karen Russell. She is on my Why Haven't I Read This Author list, and so this will be my debut effort. Number 11, Tommy Orange with a story called The State. It is in an audio format. Visual aid, here's Wandering Stars, the most recent book I read by Tommy Orange. I also read his previous novel, There, and I've read a couple of his short stories. He's been included in this list before. I don't think I've heard this story. Number 12 is Ray Bradbury with The Pedestrian. I have read this story. I like this story. I really like Ray Bradbury's short fiction. It always packs a powerful punch in a short number of pages. Number 13, Carys Davies with The Redemption of Galen Pike. Most recently I read West, but I also really loved Clear. So I've read two short novels, which would be excellent Shorty September novel choices. But I haven't read her short fiction, and she has a whole collection by the name of this title story. So I'm going to try this one out, and it could lead to an active purchase. Number 14 is Ken Liu with Paper Menagerie. I think it's a science fiction story, just from my general familiarity of Ken Liu. Haven't read anything by him. He's another one of those authors that I've been meaning to try. So we're going to check out this story that was recommended quite strongly on Reddit. Went to the experts for that one. Number 15 is Jhumpa Lahiri with Year's End. It is a story from this collection, Unaccustomed Earth, which I haven't read in a long time. I have several of her story collections, and I've never been disappointed by Jhumpa Lahiri. Number 16 is a story and a book that I have been extolling for months and months, and it is The History of Sound by Ben Shattuck. It's the first story in this collection of linked stories. This book is so good, and they're making a movie. It's so good that they had to make a movie out of just that very first story in the collection. So read the story, watch the movie, read the rest of the book. It's one of my favorites from last year. Absolutely beautiful story. Number 17 is Brian Aldiss with Super Toys Last All Summer Long. This one, I made a note of it. My friend Pat from Book Chat with Pat said that this was her favorite short story that she read during her Rocket Summer project. And so I want to find out about it myself. And it was also the basis of a movie, which I now can't remember which movie, but I'll put it up here. I want to read this story now. Number 18, Maria Riva, Letter of Apology. Just last week, I read Maria Riva's debut novel, Endling, which is on the current Booker list. She did have, I think she had a collection of short stories prior to this, and I don't know if this story was in the collection or if it's a standalone, but we're going to check it out. Number 19 is a repeat. This is my third time to try to say this without a tongue twister. The story is The Cask of Amontillado. Yes. By Edgar Allan Poe. I got it out. I've read it before. I just want to read it again. It's so good. It's so creepy. It makes you laugh in dark manners. Number 20 is a story by Marie-Helene Bertino called North of. Earlier this year, I read her novel, Beautyland, with my friend Alan from Big Hard Books and Classics. We both really, really enjoyed this novel. And now she has a new collection of short stories out called something with exit zero exits. I'll put it up here. And I don't know if this story is in that collection or not, but I want to explore her short fiction. Number 21, an author that I'm really getting into this year, Hiromi Kawakami. Love this novel. Also read another novel of hers called The Third Love, but she has some short fiction too. We're going to read the story called I Won't Let You Go. Number 22, Mélie de Kerangal. Read a book of hers last week, reread Eastbound, but she has a collection of short stories that I really enjoyed as well. The book's called Canoes, but this story is called Ariane Space. I think it's the last story in the collection. Gonna read it again, think about it some more, hopefully talk about it with some friends. Next is Fernando Flores. Earlier this year, I read his dystopian novel, Brother Bronte. Enjoyed this a whole lot as well. I'm going to read a short story called You Got It, Take It Away. He does have a collection of short stories called Baaaaack that I would like to get my hands on. Number 24 is F. Scott Fitzgerald with a classic, Winter Dreams. I love this story. It's kind of long, so telling you in advance, make a little extra time for this one, but it is well worth it. Number 25 is a strange one. It is a story by Pammy Aguda from this collection, Ghost Roots, and it's called Manifest. Okay, it's body horror. It's really creepy. I'll warn you again when I post it, but it's good, but it is strange. Number 26. I bet this one's creepy too. It's by Shirley Jackson, and it's called The Summer People. I've put The Lottery in before, but I have more short stories by Shirley Jackson. And that one, I have heard about. I don't know what it's about. I've heard the title mentioned before as one of her best short stories. And I just don't think she's going to write a short story and then it's not going to be some kind of disturbing or creepy, so this is what I'm expecting. As soon as I heard the summer people, I thought, well, what about them? Why are they weird? Number 27 is Cathedral by Raymond Carver. I always include Raymond Carver in this project, and I will never run out of perfect Raymond Carver stories to include in the project. I haven't put this one in before, but it is a really excellent story. It's the title story in this collection, but I will, of course, provide the link. 29, coming in, the penultimate selection is from our friend Percival Everett, and the story is called The Fix. I do not have any short story collections of Percival Everett, but I know he has a couple, and I have read a few of his short stories, and I've liked them all, and of course I have loved many a novel by him as well. If you haven't read this one, I recommend Erasure. It's not shorty though, just read it because it's good. Then, last but not least, bringing up the end of this Shorty Palooza of stories is one of my favorite authors, Colm Tóibín. No, it's not the novel Brooklyn. It's a story called Sleep. I haven't read it, but I'm sure it's good. And if you haven't read Brooklyn, I recommend that too. All right, so there it is. 30 stories in 30 days. That's the lineup. Tell me what you think. Do you think you'll participate and read some of the stories this year? Check the notes. The whole list will be there, and the back lists in case you have a desire to read more and more and more short stories. And I'd love to know what else you have planned for Shorty September. I'm going to have to do a whole different video about the other short stuff that I am considering, because there's a lot. So I hope you are having a great day, and I'll be back again soon. Take care.